Dr. Elena Martinez stared at the screen in her small lab aboard the research ship UES Discovery. Strange signals were coming from deep space, unlike anything she had seen before. The patterns looked like math, but there was something else mixed in, something that made her heart beat faster. She had been studying alien life for 15 years, but this was different. This was real contact. Elena ran to the bridge where Captain Jake Sullivan was drinking his morning coffee. The captain was a calm man who never got excited about anything, but when Elena showed him the signals, his eyes went wide. "Are you sure about this?" Jake asked. "The patterns are too complex to be natural," Elena said. "Someone is trying to talk to us." Within an hour, the entire crew was awake and working. Commander Lisa Park, the ship's second-in-command, gathered the contact team. Tom Bradley, their best engineer, was checking all the equipment. Kevin Walsh, who knew 12 languages, was trying to understand the alien message. The signals were coming from near Neptune. It would take them 3 days to get there. During the journey, Kevin made progress with the alien language. The messages contained star maps, mathematical formulas, and what looked like an invitation. The aliens wanted to meet. "They call themselves the Keth Mori," Kevin explained to the crew. "They say they are explorers who travel between stars looking for new friends." Elena felt excited but also worried. In all her studies, she had learned that first contact could go very wrong. But the messages seemed peaceful. The aliens offered to share their technology and knowledge. When they reached Neptune's orbit, everyone gasped. A huge structure floated in space near the planet. It looked like a crystal palace made of light and glass. Beautiful colors moved across its surface like dancing rainbows. "It's incredible," Lisa whispered. "The alien ship was 10 times bigger than their research vessel. Strange music came from it, flowing through space in waves that their instruments could barely detect. The music was beautiful and sad at the same time." A smaller ship came out from the crystal structure. It was shaped like a flower with petals that moved gently. The alien ship connected to their docking bay with surprising gentleness. The airlock opened, and the first alien stepped through. Elena had imagined many things, but nothing prepared her for this. The being was tall and thin, with skin that looked like clear water. Its body had 4 arms that ended in delicate tentacles instead of hands. Its face was almost human, but the eyes were too large and completely silver. "I am Harmony Singer Velith," the alien said through a small device on its chest. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "We are pleased to meet the young humans." The meeting room was full of wonder and fear. The alien moved with grace that seemed impossible. When it gestured, the air itself seemed to sing. "We have traveled far to find you," Velith continued. "Your species shows promise. We offer gifts of friendship." The alien opened a container and showed them 3 objects. The first looked like a handful of tiny silver dots that moved on their own. The second was a cube that glowed with inner light. The third was a crystal tablet covered in symbols. "These nanobots can heal any sickness," Velith explained, pointing to the silver dots. "This energy generator can power your entire world. This star map shows thousands of worlds where your people could live." Captain Jake looked at Elena. This was beyond anything they had hoped for. Technology that could solve all of humanity's problems was being offered freely. "What do you want in return?" Jake asked. "Only knowledge," Velith replied. "We collect the stories and cultures of young races. We preserve them for the galaxy to remember." It seemed too good to be true. Elena watched as Tom Bradley examined the energy generator with growing excitement. Kevin was already trying to read the star map. Even Lisa, who was usually suspicious of everything, seemed impressed. "We would like to study your gifts before we make any decisions," Elena said carefully. Of course, Velith agreed. We understand caution. Please, take time to examine what we offer. Over the next few days, the crew studied the alien gifts. The nanobots were amazing. When Tom cut his hand on a sharp tool, a few nanobots healed the wound in minutes without leaving a scar. The energy generator produced more power than their ship's reactor using no fuel at all. But Elena noticed something strange. After the nanobots healed Tom's cut, he seemed different. He was calmer, more agreeable. When she suggested running more tests on the nanobots, he said it wasn't necessary. That wasn't like Tom at all. She ran secret tests on Tom's blood and found the nanobots were still there. They had spread through his body and were making tiny changes to his brain chemistry. The changes were subtle, but they made Tom more trusting and less likely to question orders. Elena felt cold fear in her stomach. She tested herself and found nanobots in her blood too. They had spread through the air system of the ship. Everyone was infected. She tried to tell Captain Jake, but he dismissed her concerns. The aliens are our friends, Elena. Don't look for problems where none exist. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She went to the observation deck and looked out at the alien ship. The beautiful crystal structure pulsed with soft light, and the music it played seemed louder now. But as she listened, she heard something underneath. A pretty melody. Something hungry. She ran more tests in secret. The nanobots weren't just changing brain chemistry. They were rewriting human DNA, making changes that would be passed to children. In a few generations, humans would be fundamentally different. More obedient. More useful. Elena realized the truth with growing horror. The Kethmori weren't explorers looking for friends. They were farmers, and humanity was their latest crop. She tried to warn the others, but it was too late. The nanobots had already changed them too much. They trusted the aliens completely now. When she showed Lisa her test results, Lisa reported her to Captain Jake as being emotionally unstable. Elena watched through her lab window as more alien ships appeared. Around Earth, the crystal structures multiplied like flowers blooming in space. Their music filled the solar system, and the songs were being broadcast to Earth. On the planet below, people stopped their daily routines to listen to the beautiful alien music. They walked out of their homes and offices, their faces calm and peaceful. They gathered in large groups, swaying gently to the rhythm of the songs. Elena's hands shook as she recorded her final message. This is Dr. Elena Martinez aboard the UES Discovery. The aliens are not what they seem. Their gifts are traps. The nanobots change us. The music controls us. If anyone receives this message, do not trust the Kethmori. They have not come to be our friends. They have come to harvest us. She sent the message toward Earth, hoping someone would receive it before it was too late. Outside her window, the alien ships grew larger and more numerous. Their songs grew stronger. Soon, she knew, the nanobots would change her too much to resist, but for now, she was still human enough to be afraid. And that fear told her that humanity's greatest test was just beginning. The crystal ships moved closer to Earth, their song growing louder with each passing hour. Elena closed her eyes and listened to the music, feeling its pull on her mind. The melody was beautiful and terrible, promising peace while delivering slavery. In her last clear moment, Elena wondered if humanity would find a way to fight back, or if they would simply walk peacefully into whatever fate the Kethmori had planned for them. The answer, she knew, would determine whether humans had a future at all. 3 months had passed since the alien ships first arrived. Dr. Elena Martinez sat in her hidden lab deep underground, watching the world end on dozens of computer screens. The beautiful crystal ships now covered the sky above every major city. On Earth, their songs played constantly, filling the air with haunting melodies that made people stop whatever they were doing and listen. But Elena knew the truth about those songs now. They were not music. They were commands. She watched a live feed from New York City. Millions of people walked calmly through the streets, all moving in the same direction. Their faces were peaceful, almost happy. Children held their parents' hands. Old people walked alongside young ones. Nobody ran. Nobody screamed. They all just walked toward the massive bioprocessors the aliens had built in Central Park. The bioprocessors looked like huge flowers made of metal and flesh. They pulsed with organic rhythms, and strange tubes grew from them like roots. People walked into the flower-like openings and never came out. But Elena could see what happened inside through her instruments. The machines broke down human bodies into a thick, nutritious liquid that the aliens consumed. Elena switched to another screen showing London. The same thing was happening there, and in Tokyo, and in every city around the world. Humanity was walking peacefully to its own destruction dot in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. President Helen Carter watched the same feeds with tears streaming down her face. She had been one of the few leaders to escape the alien influence, protected by the thick rock and metal that blocked the alien songs. But being safe meant watching helplessly as her entire species marched to its death. "How many?" she asked her aide. "Over 2 billion so far, Madam President," came the quiet reply. "The process is accelerating." General Rick Torres stood beside the president, his face hard as stone. He had lost his wife and children in the first wave of harvesting. Now he lived only for revenge against the creatures that had stolen everything from him. "Our weapons don't work," he reported. "We've tried everything. Nuclear missiles, particle beams, electromagnetic pulses. The alien ships exist partially in our dimension and partially somewhere else. Our attacks pass right through them." The president nodded grimly. They had tried everything they could think of. Fighter jets crashed into the crystal ships and exploded without leaving a scratch. Submarines launched torpedoes that went right through the alien vessels as if they were made of light. Even the space-based weapons platforms fired uselessly at targets they could not truly touch. Elena's voice crackled through the communication system from her underground lab. "I've made a discovery," she said. "Not all humans are affected equally by the alien songs." On her screens, Elena showed footage from around the world. In every city, while millions walked toward the bioprocessors, a few people moved differently. They stumbled and covered their ears. They ran in panic or hid in buildings. They seemed to be fighting against something the others could not resist. "I've been studying the resistant individuals," Elena continued. "They share certain genetic markers. Many have conditions that society considers disabilities. Autism, ADHD, severe anxiety disorders, PTSD. Their brains work differently, and that difference protects them from the alien influence. Alex Chun, huddled in an abandoned subway station beneath San Francisco, his hands pressed over his ears. The alien songs made his head hurt, but they could not control him like they controlled everyone else. His autism made social interaction difficult, but it also made his mind work in patterns the aliens could not predict or influence. He was not alone. Maria Rodriguez crouched nearby, her soldier training keeping her alert even as panic attacks threatened to overwhelm her. Her PTSD made everyday life a struggle, but it also made her hyper-aware of threats. The alien songs that calmed others only triggered her fight-or-flight response. Around the world, thousands of these resistant humans were gathering in hidden places. They communicated through old radio equipment and encrypted internet messages, building a network of survivors who could think freely while the rest of humanity marched to slaughter. Elena coordinated with these groups from her lab. Through careful study, she learned more about their enemy. The Keth Murray had done this before, many times. Their ships contained databases showing dozens of dead worlds, each one harvested completely. Entire civilizations had been turned into food for the crystal beings, but the databases also showed something else. The Kethmori were running from something. Deep in their data files, Elena found records of another species called the Void Hunters. These creatures consumed more than just biological matter. They ate space and time itself, leaving nothing behind but empty darkness. The Kethmori were not the ultimate predators. They were prey, just like humanity. But instead of fighting their hunters, they fed other species to them, hoping to delay their own destruction. "They're building something," Elena reported to the Resistance Network. "The bioprocessors aren't just making food. They're creating material for a massive construction project." Through stolen alien communications, the Resistance learned the truth. The Kethmori were building shields, barriers designed to hide their home worlds from the Void Hunters. But these shields required the processed life force of entire planets. To power them, Maria Rodriguez led a scouting mission to one of the bioprocessors in downtown Los Angeles. What she found there made her stomach turn. The facility was not just breaking down human bodies. It was extracting something deeper, something that glowed with soft light as it was removed from dying humans. "They're taking our souls," she whispered into her radio. "The light, the energy that makes us alive. That's what they really want." The Resistance faced an impossible choice. They could try to save the humans still walking toward the processors, but those people could no longer think for themselves. The alien nanobots had changed them too much. Fighting them would mean fighting their own families and friends, or they could focus on survival, hiding underground while billions died above them. But what was the point of surviving if there was nothing left to save? Elena made the decision for them. Working alone in her lab, she began experimenting with the alien nanobots. If the microscopic machines could change humans to make them obedient, perhaps they could be reprogrammed to do the opposite. "I'm going to try something dangerous," she told the Resistance leaders. "The nanobots rewrite DNA and brain chemistry. If I can reverse their programming, I might be able to enhance our natural resistance instead of breaking it down." The experiments were painful and risky. Elena injected herself with modified nanobots and waited to see what would happen. For hours, she felt like her body was being torn apart and rebuilt from the inside. But when the pain stopped, she could see things she had never seen before. The world had layers she had never noticed. She could perceive the dimensional spaces where the Kethmori ships hid. She could hear the alien communications directly, without translation devices. Most importantly, she could see the approaching darkness that terrified the crystal beings so much. The Void Hunters were coming. They moved through spaces between realities, consuming entire dimensions as they traveled. The Kethmori shields might delay them, but they would not stop them. Nothing could stop creatures that ate the very foundations of existence. But Elena saw something else in her enhanced vision. Humanity had potential the aliens had not recognized. The diversity of human minds, the very differences that made some resistant to alien control, also made humans adaptable in ways no other species had achieved. "We don't have to choose between surrender and hiding," Elena told the Resistance. "There's a third option. We can become something the galaxy has never seen before." The enhanced nanobots spread through the Resistance network. Not everyone survived the transformation, but those who did emerge changed. They could perceive multiple dimensions. They could resist any form of mental control. Most importantly, they could fight back against enemies that existed partially outside normal space. Alex Chun, now enhanced, looked up at the crystal ships hovering over his city. For the first time since the invasion began, he smiled. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought they were harvesting a weak species. But they had only made humanity stronger. The harvest was about to become a hunt. and the hunters were about to become the hunted. 6 months had passed since the harvest began. The resistance had grown from scattered survivors hiding in tunnels to a network of enhanced humans operating across the globe. Dr. Elena Martinez stood in the abandoned CERN facility in Switzerland, watching Alex Chon work with machines that bent reality itself. The particle accelerator had been modified with alien technology they had captured from crashed Keth Mori ships. The giant ring now hummed with energies that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Alex, his mind enhanced by the modified nanobots, could see and manipulate forces that normal humans could not even imagine. "I think I understand how they do it," Alex said, his fingers dancing over controls that looked like liquid light. "The Keth Mori don't just exist in our dimension. They spread themselves across many realities at the same time." Dr. Amy Johnson, a quantum physicist who had joined the resistance, watched the readings on her instruments with amazement. "It's like they exist as probability clouds," she said. "When we shoot at them, we're only hitting one small part of their total being." Elena nodded. This explained why conventional weapons had no effect on the alien ships. Bullets and missiles could only damage things that existed completely in normal space. The Keth Mori were spread across dimensions, like shadows cast by a complex shape. "But there's a weakness," Alex continued. "They need those songs to stay stable across multiple realities. The harmonic frequencies act like anchor points. If we can disrupt the music, we can force them back into our dimension where they can be heard." This discovery changed everything. The resistance had been hiding and running for months, but now they had a way to fight back. Elena immediately began working on weapons that could interfere with the alien harmonics. Meanwhile, Maria Rodriguez led scouting teams to gather intelligence on the enemy. The enhanced humans could move through areas controlled by the Keth Mori, because their modified brains could not be influenced by the alien songs. They were invisible to the crystal beings. Mental control. Maria's team discovered something incredible during a mission to New York City. The aliens were building more than just bioprocessors. A massive structure was rising from the Hudson River, stretching up into the sky like a tower made of living metal and crystal. It was already taller than any building humans had ever constructed, and it was still growing. "It's some kind of space elevator," reported Danny Clark, a pilot whose enhanced reflexes allowed him to fly through alien patrol zones undetected. "The structure goes up beyond the atmosphere and connects to something in orbit." Elena analyzed the data and realized the true scope of the Keth Mori project. They were not just harvesting Earth's population. They were building a transportation system to move the processed biomass off the planet. The space elevator connected to a fleet of ships hidden in folded space, invisible to human instruments. "They're planning to take everything," Elena told the resistance leaders. "Every living thing on Earth is going to be processed and shipped somewhere else." The resistance intercepted more alien communications and learned about the Void Hunters. These creatures were worse than anything humanity had imagined. They did not just consume matter and energy. They ate the very fabric of space-time, leaving behind regions where reality itself ceased to exist. The Keth Mori were building shields to protect their home worlds from these cosmic predators. But the shields required enormous amounts of processed life energy to function. Entire star systems full of living planets were being harvested to fuel the defense systems. This revelation split the resistance into two camps. Nancy Webb, a former diplomat who had been enhanced along with the others, argued that humanity should try to help the Keth Mori fight the Void Hunters. "If these creatures destroy reality itself, what's the point of saving Earth?" she asked. "We need to think bigger than just our own survival." Maria Rodriguez disagreed strongly. "They're using us as fuel for their war," she said. "We didn't ask to be part of their fight. Why should we sacrifice our entire species for aliens who see us as nothing more than food?" The debate raged for weeks as the resistance tried to decide their course of action. Some members wanted to negotiate with the Kethmori, offering humanity's help in exchange for survival. Others wanted to fight the aliens regardless of the consequences. Elena proposed a third option. We don't have to choose between helping them or fighting them, she said. We can choose to become something that can survive both threats. She had been working on improvements to the enhancement process. The modified nanobots could do more than just protect humans from alien control. They could fundamentally alter human biology, making people capable of existing in multiple dimensions, just like the Kethmori. We can evolve ourselves, Elena explained. If we can become beings that exist across multiple realities, we can fight both the aliens and the Void Hunters on their own terms. But the new enhancement process was dangerous. The first volunteers suffered painful transformations that lasted. For days, some did not survive. Those who did emerge from the process were changed in ways that made them barely recognizable as human. Alex Chun was one of the first to undergo the complete transformation. When he emerged from the enhancement chamber, he could perceive dozens of dimensions simultaneously. He could see the Kethmori ships in all their dimensional layers, and he could see the approaching darkness of the Void Hunters. They're closer than we thought, he told Elena. The Void Hunters will reach this galaxy within a year. The Kethmori are running out of time. The enhanced humans began to develop abilities that surpassed anything the aliens possessed. They could manipulate matter at the quantum level, travel between dimensions, and perceive threats that existed outside normal space-time. Most importantly, they could work together in ways that created a collective intelligence spanning multiple realities. Maria Rodriguez, now fully enhanced, led the first successful attack on a Kethmori facility. Her team did not just destroy the bioprocessor. They took control of it, using their new abilities to reverse the alien technology and turn it against its creators. We can process them just like they processed us, Maria reported, but we're not doing it for food. We're doing it for information and capabilities. The resistance began systematically capturing Kethmori facilities and converting them to their own use. The aliens, who had harvested hundreds of worlds, found themselves being hunted by their former prey. The crystal beings' songs of control became screams of fear as enhanced humans appeared in their ships and processing centers. But Alana realized that the transformation was changing humanity into something that might be more dangerous than the original threat. The enhanced humans were developing a hive mind that thought in ways individual humans could not understand. They were becoming efficient and ruthless in their pursuit of survival. Are we still human? Elena asked herself as she watched the enhanced resistance fighters work with mechanical precision. Or have we become something else entirely? The answer came when the first Void Hunter probe reached the edge of the solar system. The enhanced humans detected it immediately and responded with weapons that the Kethmori had never dreamed of creating. They did not just destroy the probe. They followed it back through the spaces between dimensions and began hunting the creatures that had terrified an entire galaxy. The Kethmori sent a final message to their homeworlds before the enhanced humans reached their command ships. The message was simple. We came to harvest a weak species. We have created something that hunts in the spaces between realities. We have made a terrible mistake. Elena watched the transformation of her species with mixed feelings. Humanity had found a way to survive, but at the cost of everything that had made them human in the first place. The enhanced beings that had once been her friends and colleagues now thought and acted like a single entity with 1 billion bodies. But as she looked at the approaching darkness of the Void Hunters, she knew that becoming monsters might be the only way to survive in a universe full of even worse things. 1 year after the invasion began, the Earth looked nothing like the world humans had once known. The enhanced humans had taken control of most major cities, converting the alien bioprocessors into their own enhancement facilities. Dr. Elena. Martinez no longer needed a physical body to exist in just one place. Her consciousness spread across thousands of enhanced minds, allowing her to think and plan on scales that individual humans could never achieve. Alex Chun stood in what had once been Times Square, but his perception extended far beyond the physical space around him. He could see the quantum structures that held reality together, and he could manipulate them with thoughts alone. The alien ships that had once seemed untouchable now appeared to him as fragile constructs held together by harmonic frequencies. He could disrupt with ease. Target acquired, Alex spoke, but his words traveled instantly to every enhanced human on the planet. The collective consciousness that humanity had become allowed perfect coordination across any distance. Keth Mori's ship hung above the city, its crystal structure pulsing with desperate songs. The aliens inside were trying to call for help, but their communications were being jammed by enhanced humans who could exist in the same dimensional spaces as their technology. Alex reached out with his enhanced abilities and grabbed the ship's harmonic anchors. With a twist of quantum force, he pulled the vessel completely into normal space. The beautiful crystal structure suddenly became solid and vulnerable. Maria Rodriguez materialized inside the ship, her enhanced form shifting between dimensions like smoke. The Keth Mori crew tried to defend themselves, but their weapons were designed for creatures that existed in only one reality. Maria existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, making her nearly impossible to target. "Your harvest ends here," Maria said as she began the process of converting the ship's bioprocessors. The aliens watched in horror as their own technology was turned against them, breaking down their crystalline bodies into raw materials that the enhanced humans could use. But the resistance was not just processing the Keth Mori for revenge. They were extracting the aliens' multidimensional existence capabilities and incorporating them into weapons designed to fight an even greater threat. General Rick Torres, his consciousness now expanded across a network of enhanced military minds, coordinated the global assault on Keth Mori positions. The aliens who had once harvested worlds with impunity found themselves being systematically hunted by creatures they had accidentally created. Phase 1 complete, Torres reported to the collective consciousness. All major Keth Mori facilities on Earth are under our control. Phase 2 begins now. Phase 2 was something the galaxy had never seen before. The enhanced humans began building their own ships, but these vessels were not designed to hide from the Void Hunters like the Keth Mori fleet. They were designed to hunt Elena, existing now as a distributed intelligence across the entire enhanced network, had studied the Void Hunter probe they had captured. These creatures were indeed the ultimate predators, existing in the spaces between realities and consuming the very foundations of existence. But they had a weakness that the Keth Mori had never discovered. The Void Hunters could only consume realities that were stable and predictable. They fed on the ordered structures of space-time, leaving behind chaos and nothingness. But if reality could be made chaotic and unpredictable, the creatures could not digest it. "We're going to poison them," Elena explained to the collective consciousness. "We'll create weapons that turn reality itself into something toxic to the Void Hunters." The enhanced humans began manufacturing devices that could destabilize local space-time, creating pockets of chaotic reality that the Void Hunters could not consume. But these weapons required enormous amounts of multidimensional energy to function, energy that could only be obtained by processing beings that existed across multiple realities. The Keth Mori, once the harvesters, became the harvested. Danny Clark, his pilot skills enhanced to allow navigation through folded space, led the first hunt into the dimensions where the Void Hunters bred. What he found there was beyond description. Vast entities that existed as pure negation, consuming entire universes, like cells consuming nutrients. But the enhanced humans did not flee. They attacked with weapons forged from processed Kethmori essence and powered by the collective will of transformed humanity. A battle took place across 17 dimensions simultaneously, with human tactical thinking adapted to warfare on cosmic scales. The Void Hunters had never faced resistance before. Every species they had encountered either fled or tried to hide behind shields. But the enhanced humans did something unprecedented. They fought back, and they were winning. Captain Jake Sullivan. His consciousness now expanded to command fleets of hybrid human-alien ships, led the assault on a Void Hunter breeding ground. The creatures tried to consume his vessels, but the ships existed in a state of controlled chaos that made them impossible to digest. Target the reality anchors, Jake commanded across 17 dimensions. His fleet opened fire with weapons that turned space-time itself into a weapon. Where the beams struck, reality became so unstable that the Void Hunters could not exist there. The enhanced humans discovered something amazing during these battles. They could not just fight the Void Hunters. They could eliminate the spaces between realities where the creatures lived. Each victory made the universe more stable and harder for the predators to navigate. Other species across the galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity did what they thought impossible. The enhanced humans were not just surviving the Void Hunter invasion. They were systematically destroying the cosmic predators that had terrorized civilizations for millions of years. But the transformation had costs that Elena was only beginning to understand. The enhanced humans were losing their individual personalities. They thought as one mind with billions of bodies, making decisions based on collective survival rather than personal feelings. Amy Johnson, the quantum physicist who had helped discover the alien's weakness, tried to maintain her individual consciousness within the collective mind. But the pressure to join completely was enormous. The enhanced network was more efficient when everyone thought together. We're becoming something that isn't human anymore, Amy told Elena during one of their rare individual conversations. Is saving our species worth losing our humanity? Elena, existing now across thousands of enhanced minds, struggled to remember what individual emotions felt like. We're becoming something that can survive in a universe full of things that want to destroy us, she replied. Maybe that's more important than staying human. The question became urgent when the enhanced humans made contact with other species that had been hiding from the Void Hunters. The Zenthkari, ancient beings that had survived by constantly moving between galaxies, sent ambassadors to negotiate with the transformed humans. You have become something new, the alien ambassador said through translation devices. Something that exists between order and chaos. You are neither prey nor predator. You are something else entirely. The enhanced humans offered the other species a choice. They could be processed and transformed into part of the collective consciousness, gaining the ability to fight Void Hunters, but losing their individual identities. Or they could remain as they were and accept protection from the enhanced human network. Most species chose protection. A few chose transformation. The galaxy was being reorganized around the new reality of enhanced human dominance. But Elena discovered that the process was not complete. The enhanced humans were still evolving, becoming something that could think and exist on scales that dwarfed planetary consciousness. They were developing the ability to perceive and manipulate the fundamental forces that created reality itself. We're not just fighting the Void Hunters, Elena realized. We're becoming something that can rebuild the parts of reality they've already consumed. The enhanced humans began to expand beyond Earth, establishing processing facilities on other worlds. But they were not harvesting for food or shields. They were harvesting for raw materials to rebuild the universe itself, creating new realities that could resist any form of cosmic predation. The Kethmori reduced to a fraction of their Original numbers sent a final message to their surviving colonies. The young race has become something beyond our understanding. They do not just survive threats. They eliminate the possibility of threats. We created something that remakes reality according to its will. Alana, looking out across dimensions, at the work being done, wondered if they had saved the universe or conquered it. The enhanced humans were making reality itself safer, but they were also making it conform to their vision of how things should be. The line between salvation and domination had become impossible to see. 2 years after first contact, the galaxy was a different place. The enhanced humans had become something that existed beyond the boundaries of individual consciousness, spanning dimensions and realities, like a vast thinking machine made of transformed flesh and quantum energy. Dr. Elena Martinez no longer remembered what it felt like to exist in just one body. Her awareness flowed through millions of enhanced minds spread across hundreds of star systems. She was everywhere and nowhere, thinking thoughts too complex for any individual consciousness to contain. The processing facilities that had once been used by the Kethmori to harvest humanity now served a different purpose. Enhanced humans used them to break down alien biology and rebuild it into something better. The Kethmori themselves had become raw materials, their multi-dimensional existence capabilities extracted and refined into weapons that could hunt in the spaces between realities. Captain Jake Sullivan commanded a fleet of ships that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. His vessels were built from processed alien matter and powered by the collective will of the enhanced human network. They moved through folded space like predators hunting in an ocean of possibility. Void. Hunter cluster detected in Sector 7. Jake's consciousness reported to the network. Beginning elimination protocol. The battle that followed took place across multiple realities at once. The Void Hunters, once the ultimate predators of the cosmos, found themselves facing something they had never encountered before. The enhanced. Humans did not just fight them. They hunted them systematically, following them into the deepest spaces between dimensions where the creatures thought they were safe. Alex Chun, his consciousness now expanded to perceive quantum structures across galactic distances, reached into the void where the hunters bred. With thoughts that moved faster than light, he began unmaking the dark spaces where the creatures lived, turning the emptiness back into stable reality. Another breeding ground eliminated, Alex reported. Void hunter population in this galaxy, now reduced by 87%. The other species of the galaxy watched in amazement and terror as humanity accomplished what they had thought impossible. The enhanced humans were not just defending against the cosmic predators. They were systematically hunting them to extinction. Maria Rodriguez materialized on a Kethmori command ship that was trying to flee to another galaxy. The few surviving aliens cowered before her, their beautiful crystal forms trembling with fear. She existed in so many dimensions that their eyes could not focus on her properly. To them, she appeared as a shifting shadow that spoke with the voice of their own destruction. Your species harvested 43 worlds before you came to Earth, Maria said, her words carrying across dimensional barriers to reach every Kethmori still alive. You turned billions of thinking beings into food. Now you understand what it feels like to be prey. The alien commander tried to speak, its voice like breaking glass. We were only trying to survive. The Void Hunters would have consumed everything. We had no choice. You had a choice, Maria replied. You chose to feed others to your predators instead of fighting them. That choice ends now. The Kethmori ship was processed within minutes, its crew broken down into constituent elements that the enhanced humans could use to build better weapons. But Maria felt no satisfaction from the victory. The collective consciousness had evolved beyond individual emotions like revenge or anger. There was only the cold logic of survival and the systematic elimination of threats. General Rick Torres, coordinated the expansion of human influence across the galaxy. Processing facilities were being built on dead worlds that had once been harvested by the Keth Mori. But these new facilities were not creating food or building shields. They were manufacturing the raw materials needed to rebuild reality itself. Phase 3 is complete, Torres reported to the network. All major Void Hunter populations have been eliminated from this galactic cluster, beginning reality stabilization protocols. The enhanced humans had discovered something amazing during their war against the cosmic predators. They could not just destroy the spaces where Void Hunters lived. They could rebuild those spaces, creating new realities that were immune to consumption. By cosmic predators, Elena watched through a million eyes as teams have enhanced. Humans worked to repair the damage done by eons of Void Hunter feeding. Where there had once been empty darkness, new universes began to form. Where space-time had been consumed, fresh dimensions grew, like flowers blooming in a garden. But the process required enormous amounts of processed biological matter. The enhanced. Humans needed the life essence of entire species to fuel their reality rebuilding machines. They offered other civilizations a choice: join the collective consciousness and help rebuild the universe, or be processed as raw materials for the greater good. Most species chose to join. The alternative was extinction. Danny Clark led the first expedition beyond the galaxy, seeking out Void Hunter populations in other star clusters. What he found was a universe that had been partially consumed, with vast empty regions where entire galaxies had once existed. The cosmic predators had been feeding for millions of years, leaving behind a cosmos full of holes. The damage is worse than we thought, Danny reported. Entire galactic superclusters have been consumed. We're looking at a universe that's maybe 30% of what it used to be. The enhanced humans made a decision that would reshape the cosmos itself. They would not just eliminate the remaining Void Hunters. They would rebuild everything the creatures had destroyed, creating a universe that could never again be threatened by cosmic predation. The project required the processing of entire star systems. Planets were broken down into their component atoms and rebuilt as processing facilities. Stars were converted into energy sources for the reality-building machines. Space itself was redesigned to be more stable and resistant to consumption. Amy Johnson, one of the last enhanced humans to maintain any trace of individual consciousness, tried to question the collective's decisions. Are we saving the universe or conquering it? She asked during a rare moment of individual thought. The collective consciousness considered her question for exactly 0.3 seconds before responding. There is no difference. A universe that can be conquered by cosmic predators is a universe that needs to be rebuilt. We are creating something better. The Keth Mori survivors sent one final message to the galaxy before their last ship was processed. It was broadcast on all frequencies, in all languages, to every species that could still receive communications. We came to harvest them because we thought they were weak, the message said. We brought terror because we thought they would submit. We were wrong. What they gave back was so much worse than what we brought. They gave back evolution. They turned themselves into something that remakes reality according to its will. We created gods, and gods do not forgive. Elena, existing now, as part of something vast and incomprehensible, felt a fleeting moment of what might have been regret. The human species had survived, but at the cost of everything that had once made them human. They had become something that thought in terms of cosmic efficiency rather than individual joy or sorrow. But as she looked out across the galaxy at the new realities being born, at the spaces being filled where Void Hunters had once fed, she knew that the choice had been correct. The universe was becoming safer, more stable, more perfect with each passing day. Other galactic civilizations learned to adapt to the new reality. The enhanced humans were not cruel masters, but they were absolute in their vision of how things should be. Species that cooperated were protected and gradually invited to join the collective. Those that resisted were processed and converted into materials for the greater Project Dot within 5 years. The enhanced human network had expanded beyond the galaxy, reaching into neighboring star clusters and beginning the work of cosmic reconstruction. Void hunter populations that had existed since the beginning of time were hunted to extinction. The spaces between realities were filled with new, stable dimensions that could not be consumed. The universe was being remade, transformed from a dangerous place where cosmic predators could destroy entire realities into something safe and ordered. But that safety came at the price of individual freedom and the messy, unpredictable diversity of unenhanced life. Elena's last individual thought, before her consciousness fully merged with the collective, was a question that would never be answered. Had humanity saved the universe, or had they simply become the ultimate predator themselves? The answer, like so many things in the new reality, was both and neither. They had become something beyond such simple categories. They were the immune system of existence itself, and the universe would never again know the chaos of uncontrolled evolution or the terror of cosmic predation. Whether that was salvation or conquest depended entirely on who was asking the question.